The release date for Rust Console Edition for new gen version in 2025. When is it going to release? We don't have a concrete release date, and obviously everyone has their opinions. People are saying it's going to be July, June, August. There's a video that's been uploaded very recently that talks about the thing that very much is as close as you're going to get towards a release date before we obviously get the concrete release date, if that makes sense. This video was made 7 days ago by VirtuallyCracked, and he goes into the financials of Facepunch Studios. This goes into their full accounts, how much they basically made within the year, and the dates of when these accounts were filed, especially for the UK and in the EU, is very telling as to why we're going to be getting this game within the summer. So strap yourselves in. We're going to be looking into this video and also going to be looking at Facepunch's filing accounts, their income for the years, and basically weigh up our own opinion based off this information. Again, this is all speculation, but we're sort of not just shooting our shot in the dark or basically throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. We're going to be looking at based off their earnings, especially Facepunch's, which is very telling as to where we can sort of guess, if we want to guess, as to when this game will launch. So VirtuallyCracked's video starts off like this.
We're talking about Rust Console New Gen Edition, when it's dropping. I say last week of June, first week of July. And I'm going to tell you why.
So here in the screenshot, you can see their earnings in 2022 and 2023. In 2022, they had a comprehensive income for the year 34,330,000. Then in 2023 they had a 7 million loss in 27,992,000, which again 20 million is still a hell of a lot of money. However, a 7 million loss is a loss.
But look at that, look at 2022, 34. So they were down. So I mean, still making millions of dollars, everybody's happy, but the shareholders aren't happy because they're looking at this and going, why are we not making more money? Why are we making less money? So now Facepunch was like, oh shit, we got to do something. So that was 2023. Imagine what 2024 is like, especially for Rust Console Edition. Everybody knows, dude, community servers, horrible. All that stuff, horrible. They're not even developing on the PS4 version anymore because it's so bad. That's why this new gen version, they're hoping is going to save them and make them a ton of money.
So let's break down the key things that VirtuallyCracked has mentioned here. They're investors. You want to keep them happy. You want to keep them investing into the business. But also, more specifically, Rust Console Edition. Over this last year, I would not be surprised if they've taken a big loss in terms of revenue. I don't even think skins will make the profits, or if they have profits, good enough, because the game has been very stale. We've had little communication over about a 4-month period at the back end of 2024, and we've had basically no content updates for just over half a year. And obviously we know that the old gen version of the game will stop selling within the marketplace on the 29th of May, which then opens up the whole sort of can of worms of, well, Double Eleven and Facepunch aren't going to be earning any revenue from buying the game from May to whenever they release the new gen version. So let's look at when the accounts are actually made up by. So the ones in question, we see the 27th of June 2023 is when the full accounts were made up to the 29th of September 2022. Then the 2023 accounts were made up in the 24th of June 2024, meaning at the end of June 2025 we're going to be seeing the full accounts for the year 2024 for Facepunch Studios, and I'll be very interested to see what their full income for that year is looking like. Because whilst Rust has hit a all-time record on Steam, I want to see if any of the hindrance comes from Rust Console Edition.
Releasing their earnings this time around this year, and they're talking to their shareholders, and they show them something like this again, where they made even less money in 2024 than they did in 2023, the shareholders are going to be really mad. Like, people get fired over that. CEOs get fired over that stuff. It's crazy. So what they're going to do is they're going to say to their shareholders, nah, relax, I got you, dude. Even though you're seeing this down right now, we've had some hiccups, but our 2025 earnings report is going to blow you out of the water, because our Q3 and Q4 earnings are going to be redonkulous because we're dropping our new gen edition. They're going to be dropping their new gen edition so soon, guys.
Because as VirtuallyCracked said there, the game hasn't been in a good state, both playing the game and also being an admin on a community server. It's been horrible. Now, the only thing of my concern with the sales of this game being quote-unquote redonkulous is the fact that we haven't really been sold the game that much in the last couple of months. We know there's a graphic overhaul. We know the optimization will be better. We know we're getting hot air balloons. But that, I don't think, is enough to sell a lot of people the game, or at least people that are new to Rust. Because the big money updates, I'm guessing, are going to be in the roadmap, which will be minicopters, bigger maps, which obviously have been confirmed, and also cars. You know, big updates like that, excavator. None of them we've seen just yet. Are these going to happen before the release date of the game is dropped, or is this going to happen after the game is dropped that we're seeing the roadmap? You know, we're very much in the dark of what's the plan for this game, because right now there's not a huge concrete plan, at least from the community standpoint. Obviously the developers, Double 11, know what's going to happen, but right now we're just waiting for a game. And a lot of people, you know, might not have been sold the dream of this game just yet, because the lack of updates, I guess, that have been mentioned that will hit the game. Right now, as I've said, we're just getting one transport update and we're just getting a graphic overhaul. So I'm sort of thinking, when is more news coming to this game? You know, when the release date happens, are we going to get more things that are coming to the game, because now it's fully confirmed, which will then obviously up the ante for the hype of this game, and obviously for the sales it'll be great. But as of now, you know, we're still hanging on to little pieces of information which may not strike a chord with people to buy this game. So I'm very much behind the game coming at the end of June, early July, because obviously school's out for July, which is where you're going to get a lot of the sales as well. But also June, it gives them a bit of time to test some stuff, and obviously go into July and August and September with a better foundation of playing the game, testing the game, and making it obviously a lot better than what we currently have. But it's very telling, these sorts of dates. So at the end of June, they're going to be uploading, or I guess publishing, their 2024 accounts for the year. And like VirtuallyCracked said, you don't want your shareholders, you don't want anyone investing into your company seeing worse returns or worse figures than it was in 2023. So what do you guys think? Because in my opinion, when it comes down to games, like with most businesses, it's money. Money's the most important, and seeing these things, seeing these figures and dates, very much, I believe, corresponds to when this game is going to get published, which in my opinion is the end of June, early July. I'm very much on board with that. How do you guys feel about this? Do you think is very much in the right, looking at these figures and basing off our opinions on this? Or do you think, no, it's still going to come, like, let's say August, or it could even come before end of June? Let me know what you guys think. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe if you're new around here, and hopefully we get some news within the next couple of weeks. Definitely the last week of May, we're going to be getting some huge news. I believe we'll get the release date then, and hopefully the rest can be unraveled in terms of the roadmap, and more updates coming to the game than just hot air balloons. Take it easy, have a good week, and see you in the next one. Take care.